Just 127 million rand has been recovered by the Special Investigation Unit for corruption involving personal protective equipment in the government's fight against COVID-19. The state spent 30 billion rand for PPE, while 13 billion is under investigation. The Special Investigation Unit has expressed confidence that its probe will lead to successful prosecutions. Joining me now, Advocate Andy Mothibi, head of the Special Investigating Unit. Advocate, a very good morning and thank you for speaking to us. You certainly have your work cut out.
No, indeed, Hugo. Thank you very much for inviting us on your show. We certainly have our work cut out, but we believe that our investigators have to date really demonstrated that they can dive deep and uncover maladministration and corruption that has been reported. From the investigations that we've done up to now, as you correctly indicate, there has been good outcomes. 127 million recovered. Well, on that one is the 26 million that has been forfeited to the state, and just over 100 million that has been saved for the Gauteng Department of Health. So you've seen the outcomes in terms of about 25 senior officials of government being referred for disciplinary action. We expect that action should be taken against those officials because evidence indicates that they involved themselves in irregularities and unduly benefited the private sector companies in the process of this irregular procurement. The other outcomes was the referrals to the prosecuting authority. That's the point, as you introduced, what would be our expectation there? Our expectation, of course, is that we would like to see the prosecutions follow. Of course, we respect the NPA's prerogative to assess and make a decision to prosecute. But we are confident, and our confidence that these matters would now be progressed is that our engagement with the NPA has really demonstrated a rigor to want to ensure that prosecutions follow in these cases. As you may have listened when we presented, each and every case that we have reported on being reported for criminal prosecution, in each case, a prosecutor has been allocated. In the past, there was this measure of inaction, measure of not attending to matters that have been sent to NPA for prosecution, but that has since changed. And we really thank the NPA leadership, Advocate Batoi in particular, that these matters are now receiving attention. And Hugo, our expectation is that those who are responsible for all this maladministration and possible corruption action, they must be harshly punished. It is only through that we can really make an impact and begin to see those would-be corrupt and would-be maladministrators being deterred from committing similar actions going forward.
Advocate, I think you mentioned something about civil suits against some former government officials that have now resigned from government. Is that sufficient deterrence? Is that not just a slap on the wrist? If we think about it, part of this abuse has cost, in fact, the lives of many individuals because they were not able to receive the PPE that they should have received.
Yes. Hugo, you're right. In fact, as we speak now, about 15 matters are in the special tribunal to the contract value of 365 million. And that is the values of the contracts that we have sought to declare invalid and set aside. And thereafter, then recover the monies that the state institutions or government would have lost. With regard to those who resign, remember the trend that we have seen in that regard, and that is the phenomena that we really want to deal with effectively. Of course, it's a person's prerogative to resign from employment, and that in itself would put an end to employer-employee relationship. That only affects the disciplinary process part, because if you're no longer an employee, the employer can no longer hold disciplinary process against you. But we are on record and we are demonstrating that the resignation will not absolve those officials from criminal prosecution. They will not be absolved from civil litigation. We've got a matter that is coming now in June against some of the officials in Gauteng who resigned, and we still get them back in court. Over and above that, we take a decision to freeze their pensions so that whenever the civil proceedings are completed, we can then have recourse to their pensions as we seek to recover. So we don't really see this as a slap in the wrist, Hugo. I think it's a very serious and significant step to take to demonstrate to all those who are involved in irregular activities that they could just resign, right? So resignation is no longer going to be just a measure where people resort to. We still have actions that we can take afterwards, and those actions will be effective, including the recoveries, including the criminal prosecutions, and we believe that would be effective in seeing the recoveries that should be made back to the state.
Advocate, we learned from your report that there are over 2,000 contracts that are being investigated or due to be investigated. What are some of the challenges in carrying out a task of this magnitude?
Right. The total value as at the 25th of November of last year was 2,556, right? We have completed 164 of those to the value of 3.5 billion. We are still busy with 1,541 to the value of 6.8 billion. And we've just to commence with 851 contracts to the value of 2.9 billion. All those give you a value of 13.3 billion that we've been reporting on. And the new allegations keep coming on. So to your question, some of the challenges that we face is that, that in some instances, there's lack of cooperation, and that is why we have had to use the powers that we have in terms of our legislation, in terms of search and seizure, in terms of the documentation that we require. The teams work hard to ensure that those documents are seized, and we do the analysis that we need to do so that we can come to the determinations that we need to come to. But of course, some of the questions have been, what are the resource constraints that we have? Up to now, we do have the resources to ensure that we do our investigations effectively. But of course, we are busy improving our resourcing and the capacity. We've got a new structure that followed our restructuring. We are busy populating that structure. We've got all the processes in place, all the equipments that we need to assess and do the digital assessment of the computers that we seize. So up to now, we've been really able to return the results that we have reported to the public. But we are busy on an improvement trajectory because there's still quite a lot of work to do, and we would like to return the results that the public are looking forward to and make sure that there's consequence management so that ultimately all of this maladministration and corruption really can be dealt a blow.
Advocate Andy Mothibi, thank you so much for speaking to us. He's head of the SIU.